Welcome back to Monkey Business. I'm Nick, aka Dad.
I'm Addie, aka the Monkey.
Hey, and this week we're adding more lights to our Bronco. Yeah!
Yay!
We're going back with Baja Designs, and just in a moment we'll show you what's inside the box and what we're adding to it. But stick around to the end because I made a boo-boo, and you're gonna want to stick around because you want to see how not to do what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a... We'll just leave it there because I thought I was doing something really that would help everybody out and ended up didn't help anybody out. So stick around to the end, but we'll get to the Baja opening here and show you what we're adding to our Bronco to give us way more light. So
Let's get started.
all right, and what we're adding this week from Baja Designs to our Bronco are the XL80. We're installing these on the A-pillar, and the one reason we're putting these on is if we want to go out at night, especially on the trails around here, you're in the woods a lot, definitely will put a lot of light in front of us, show us where we're going and what obstacles to watch out for. But they've got some great specs on these, tons of light, and then obviously Baja Designs is well known for their durability, running these on race trucks in Baja all the time. And yeah, just thought if they're good enough for a Baja truck, we can't wait to use them with our Bronco. So let me show you the detailed specs on these. Now I'm going to start here at the bench putting these together, and instead of just putting the bracket straight onto the A-pillar area from Baja Designs, we're actually going to go JCR and we're going to use their mounting bracket for the A-pillar. I like these designs. It gives you the ability to mount more than just one thing to this. We've got a couple slots here, which will give us the ability to put the lights on there. But if we end up running down the road, I'm thinking about putting on a CB radio, putting an antenna somewhere on the front. So it gives us just an option for that. Or if we wanted to add more lights down the road, it gives us an option to put that. But these XL80s are pretty big, so not going to be a lot more room to add anything to this. But we'll mount these up to the brackets and the lights and then show you how the wiring goes to put them with the upfitter switches that Ford gives you, which makes everything so much easier. Now to tighten your bracket onto the JCR bracket, it's just a 9/16 wrench for that, and I'm using just an adjustable wrench down below and just going to snug them up a bit to where we can keep them from flopping around. But other than that, we just want to make sure that yeah, we can make some adjustments later if need be. Kind of go back a little bit to where I can still turn that. And I just wanted to make sure too that I've got it towards the end, and then we'll adjust it in if need be, just to make sure we've got plenty of clearance with the side view mirrors and anything else that might get in the way. But now we just gotta mount the lights up to the brackets. Now the bolts on the side of your bracket, this is a 7/16, and to get the two washers, because there's a washer that goes just on the other side of this bolt and then one on the light side basically of the bracket, I use just a small flat-headed screwdriver to be able to move that into position so I can get the bolt through both of them. Well, now that we have them both mounted up to our brackets here, now just take them to the Bronco and we'll show you where to put the wiring in through on the accessory mount and then how to wire them up to your upfitter switch. So when you're installing on the A-pillar here, on the passenger side, you obviously need to move your antenna, which we have the little stubby antenna, but we still need to move it out of the way because we need to get access under here in just a second. But first you're going to take out, once you get the antenna removed, you'll have a couple Torx head bits here, or bolts here. This one near the windshield is a 30, and the one outside is a 25. I don't know why Ford didn't do just the exact same 30 or 25 either way, just would have been a little bit easier, but you will need a 30 for the one closest to the windshield and then a 25 for the one that's furthest away. Now these bolts weren't real hard to get out. I mean, they kind of came out pretty much with one twist and then just like you saw, just swiveled them out real quickly. But yeah, we're going to take these out and we'll mount our plate from JCR right to this point, and then we'll show you where you route your wires in here. If you need to get this up, you can always use a trim removal tool or even a flat-headed screwdriver, and just need to pop this up a little bit just to be able to get to where we can get our wires pushed down and through. There we go. Don't tug too tough because your windshield wiper washer fluid hose is right underneath here, but that's all the room we need to put our wire through. Let me grab the light and we'll show you where you're going. Now, if you are using the JCRs, the JCR actually is going to be facing the windshield. So they are side specific. So make sure you get that. But then we're just going to push these guys through and get them down into the engine bay here, which there's a little opening right through here. Push them down and in. Get that wiring as much as we can without coming right back up to us here. And then there's actually a recess back here next to the actual trim up here. And you can pop that back down in there. I can see our wirings down in. So we'll move to popping this back in and then get back underneath the hood. Now that we got the windscreen basically all pushed back down, you might have to climb up on the side here to push back down if you get a little bit too open. Mine was about halfway down, so I had to get up on our running board here just to get that push back down. But now that we got that done, we'll get our 30 Torx put back in and then pivot it around so I can make sure that the antenna is going to go back on. Well, now that we have the passenger side done, just need to get to the driver's side. I'll get that put on, and then we'll show you the wiring underneath. Now, doing a couple things with wiring already that we've done, like the SAE fog lights from Baja Designs. We did the off-road fog lights from Baja Designs, the Squadron Pros, which we're actually going to get upgraded for free. Well, besides sending them into them to get upgraded from Baja Designs. But when it comes to the wiring, we've got our wires that have come down through here next to the hood hinges. Now, you don't have but about that much wire. I mean, it's less than a foot, so it's not going to come very far. And they give you wiring in the kit, and it's, you know, a lot easier to use the wiring they have to make your own harness. I mean, you've got plenty of extra here, so I've cut it off from what they've given me, and we'll end up splicing this together so we have one wire for power, one wire for ground. We've done it a couple times. We'll post a link up top here so you can go find that video as well. But it makes it so much easier. So we've already cut the lines here. We've connected them to both lights. I've zip tied everything kind of out of the way. You don't want the wiring next to anything that's rotating or gets hot or anything like that. So we've kind of zip tied it up here along this major wiring loom from the computers, and then kind of come across here. And then you're going to want to go to your owner's manual, which, if you didn't get a paper one, which you won't from the dealership or from Ford, you can order one. You can actually order it through a Ford parts department, or helminc.com can actually send you one. We've bought one before. It's in our 7 Bronco accessories that we've bought. We'll post a link to that video as well. But you can contact them and get a paper manual, or go to your manual that's actually downloaded into your Bronco through the screen and look up auxiliary wiring. Let me show you what that looks like so you know which wire we're going to and how you can find it. So in your Bronco's owner manual, you can go up here to what you're looking for and just type in auxiliary. And this will take you, sorry for the bad camera work, identifying the auxiliary switch wiring. Click on that. And this will bring up your menu of auxiliary 1 through 6. If you have the auxiliary switches, what color the wire is underneath the hood. These are all powered, so once you connect to these, the switch will be live and your lights will be live. And then over here, most importantly, it lets you know what size fuse on each one. So 3 through 6 is a 10 amp, 1 is a 30, and 2 is a 15. Now, I've seen people connecting these XL80s to auxiliary 2, which is a 15 amp. You don't have to do that. Like I showed you in the beginning with the specs on these, they only take 5.5 amps. So you can use anything from 3 through 6 and leave those bigger ones for things that are going to take a lot more power. So we're going to hook ours up to auxiliary 3, which is the violet green wire. Well, you can see here we've got our ground and our power terminals or wires connected here. So now we only have one wire, and I've connected the power now to our auxiliary switches, which is the purple or violet and green. And then I've also got my ground, and I've put a little copper end here, and we will use, they've got a couple different grounds up here, one here and one here. We'll probably just use this little guy here, and then we'll be grounded and be done with this install. So now we're connected. This bolt, actually both these bolts here, if you decide to use these as a ground, are both 8mm, and we're connected there. Let's check to see if these lights actually work now. Went around to hit the switch and nothing happened. They came on for a brief second and then they were gone. So I didn't know what I'd done wrong, but we had to get going. Monk is involved in an after-school activity, so had to get going to take her. And as we were driving, Monk says, "Well, that's okay, Dad. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out." And I said, "Yeah, I just don't get it because it shows on the website that they're 5.5 amps." And she goes, "Well, is that individually?" I'm like, "No, I think it's for the pair because I was looking at the XL80 A-pillar kit for the Bronco, which I just assumed meant they, together in the kit, they take 5.5 amps. Well, I started thinking maybe she's right. Maybe it's 5.5 amps each. So that first screen I showed you with the specifications on it, that is per light. So we're going to get underneath the hood here, and I'm going to redo the wiring, and we are going to go to auxiliary switch number 2, which is a green wire with a brown stripe, and that one is good for 15 amps. So that should work out well. We'll cut some wires here, we'll re-splice them together, and hopefully I'm showing you some lights at work. So let me get this going. Next thing you see, hopefully, will be me turning on the A-pillar lights. Oh, I'm so thankful I'm glad Monk was right about that. Those look fantastic. Those things are nice and bright. Couple things though, I think this would have been a lot quicker if I just, known that right away that those were 5.5 amps each. Those things would have been running when we left for our errand. So, but a couple things, the wiring that comes from the light into the engine bay next to your fender, Baja Designs, can you make that 6 inches longer? Maybe not even 6 inches. Really, I just need another 3 to 4 inches because what happens is that connector is almost right next to your hinge. And I've got it zip tied down to where that shouldn't be a problem now, but if you guys can make it just a little bit longer, that tail coming off the light itself, that'd be fantastic just to get it inside the engine bay a little bit more. Another thing is, when I was redoing the wiring, I thought about this every time I connect something to the auxiliary wiring, is Ford, if you're listening, on the 2024s or 2025s, make that longer for those next owners, because connecting to them, there's about, I'd say, a good 4 inches of wire that sticks out. You have to cut the black tip off that they've got coated in. So now you're down to about 3.5 inches, and then you need to, take some of the sheathing off, and then butt connector or whatever you're using, and it's just really hard to get down in there and, heat shrink it or whatever you may be doing. So Ford, if you could just make those a little bit longer, that'd be great too. Give us enough that when you lean over the fender, you can pull up enough that you can, get some good sight on the wire and be able to use a heat gun or something to heat shrink it instead of having to get down inside the engine bay. That'd be great. So those are just my thoughts that they could make a little bit better on both of these. But yeah, the XL80s are super bright. You just saw that, and I'm looking forward to getting them just out on the road, out into the country where I grew up, and get them at night when there's nobody else coming, obviously, because these would blind somebody. But yeah, I really like them. They're really well built, and looking forward to get them out there. But let me grab Monk here since we're done with the install and get this thing wrapped up and enjoy the rest of our night. That wasn't a terrible install. It was, not terrible at all. Actually, if I had wired it correctly from the beginning, the whole thing probably took me about 30 minutes. if you have everything just laid out, what you need, the tools you need and all that, like having my Torx bits out, having, the wrenches and the adjustable wrench and all that out would have been really easy. And if I had, done my research a little bit better, knowing that the lights on the Baja Designs website is for an individual light. 5.5 amps is what one pulls, and that was my problem. Together they pull 11 amps, so that one circuit, which was a 10 amp circuit, doesn't do it. So that's why everybody's using that second auxiliary switch, because it's a 15 amp circuit, which, again, I thought I was using a smart circuit, as in not using the bigger ones for no reason. But Monk pointed out, "You sure, Dad, that the 5.5 amp isn't per light?" I'm like, "I don't think so," because I was looking at the website, and this was their XL80 kit for the Bronco, so it would come with 2. But I think she's right. So what their website shows is for an individual light. So what you're going to need to do is find the green wire with a brown stripe. That is for upfitter switch number 2. And as you saw, we got it all working, but yeah, so lesson learned. So we appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you found this informative on how to get these things wired up pretty quickly, and stripping it back to make, one wire connections, and just not investing in buying their splitters and things like that. Just make your own little harness. They've got plenty of wire that comes with it, so don't worry about it. So, but as always, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And you know what? As always, have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye.